All right, welcome back to another episode of MinneSports. Today we will be going over the Vikings and their new signing of Kirk Cousins. NCAA tournament action coming up here this week, so we will be discussing our picks on that, and also Twins acquisitions and how they could be going into the new year. Joining with me is I'm Easty.
I'm Blaine Weber.
And Nolan O'Hara.
All right, and we're here today to bring you the show. So, first off, which just came in today, since it's the legal negotiations, we are allowed to talk with free agents to get all the signed. The Vikings have finally landed Kirk Cousins. Looks like it's going to be a 3-year, $86 million guaranteed. There's never been a guaranteed deal done before, so this is groundbreaking stuff. Wouldn't you agree with me?
Yeah. This is different for sure.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins. I think that with all the guaranteed money, to be honest, I don't think he's worth all that guaranteed money. I think that his passer rating right now. I get all my stats from Wikipedia. Let's go. But I looked up. It's 94. He has a 94 rating. He's got 99 touchdowns for 55 interceptions. I think that he's 29 years old, and I don't know if his career thus far renders that much money guaranteed. Honestly, with the Redskins, and he's been all right. Granted, with his supporting cast, he's made his supporting cast pretty decent, I think.
Past 3 years, he did throw 4,000 yards. How many? Yeah. Do you know how many times the Vikings have thrown 4,000 yards in their whole franchise?
I have no idea.
4 times ever.
Well, I'm guessing Culpepper was probably one of those. Yeah, was Favre? Did he really do that in 2007?
Yeah.
Did he really? I didn't even remember that.
Yeah.
So long ago.
All right. So with the Kirk Cousins, the guaranteed money, a lot of people are saying, well, is he worth $28 million a year? And I think we kind of need to get over that idea of is he worth $28 million a year? It's the going rate for a starting quarterback now. Jimmy Garoppolo's played 5 games for San Francisco, and he's making $27.5 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
So with Kirk Cousins, it's guaranteed $28 million a year. I'm fine with it because you need to pay your quarterback, and now you have actually most people would put him between the 10 and 15 top quarterbacks in the league, maybe top 10 on the edge of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's better than the Vikings ever have. Case Keenum had a good year. I don't know if he can repeat that. I'm expecting a little bit of a regression this year.
Okay.
And I think Kirk Cousins is going to be better. I think it's going to be similar to Drew Brees going from San Diego to New Orleans because Kirk Cousins isn't injured either, which will help. Kirk Cousins is going to be going right into the prime year, 30 to 35 for pocket passing quarterbacks, usually about the best years. We're going to have probably the 5 best years of Kirk Cousins here. I think he's what the Vikings need to take him over the hump. I think with Diggs, with Thielen, with Dalvin Cook, and with Zimmer's defense, this is built as a championship team. And now you have the quarterback who's going to help you out with that, too. So I have no problem with the signing.
Well, the other deal, I think that what else you have to factor in is, I'm a big Laquan Treadwell fan. I don't really know a whole lot about Laquan Treadwell. We haven't had much luck with first-round wide receivers. But I still think that he's got a shot. I really want to see him play because on the books, on paper, how could he not be good? He's 6'3". He's got to go like 2. He's got good size for it. I don't really know how well he ran at Ole Miss. But I'm still hoping that he can find something. I honestly think that, and what I was going to say is our offensive coordinator, DiFilippo, I think that he's...
I like
DiFilippo.
I do as well.
That's a great... I think he's a great replacement for Shermer. Shermer is going to go to the Giants. He's going to get knocked in the teeth. I don't think he's good enough, but he's a great signing. I think that he's going to, hopefully, he's not going to transform the offense, but we should... We have a juggernaut on offense. With Latavius Murray, Dalvin Cook, we'll see. What do you think is going to happen there, too? I know that we're on the Kirk Cousins, we're on Vikings chances, we're on their offense, but what do you think? What's our running back situation?
The running back situation right now is McKinnon is gone.
Yeah,
he's gone. He's looking $6-7 million. Last I've heard, San Francisco are the front runners for them. And I just heard a report today that the Vikings are telling Latavius Murray, please take a pay cut. He's getting paid so much money to be
really
around $6 million
for
this year.
And he is probably, I don't know if they're going to split carries next year or if Cook's going to be
They don't want to feed Cook that much. I remember Zimmer said that he wants to kind of ease him back. They don't want to have him.
Okay.
I expect probably between 15 and 20 carries a game. They don't want to put him in that. 20,
So you're probably gonna
25.
say split carries then.
That would be my
All right.
guess.
Well, I still think he
Okay.
should take a pay cut, and if we, by some chance, want to release him, we do save $6 million in cap space.
Sure.
Remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that last year, his playoff, performances as far as Murray goes. Yeah, as far as Murray goes. I mean, they warrant. He's a starter. I mean, he's huge. He's 6'3". He's like 230. I mean, he's a monster. He's got great speed for that. He wears down offenses, and that's what I like about him. Dalvin Cook. We didn't really see a whole lot of him. He's more of a fast burst guy. I mean, he's a little bowling ball.
He's
he's
really
5'10".
too,
He's incredibly strong. He's got quickness. They're polar. I think they're polar opposites when it comes to their games. Both of them are starters. Is Dalvin Cook going to be? Is he going to have that spark that he had, the first game or first few games of the season? Is he going to have that?
I feel like he will.
Do you think he will?
We're going to see Adrian Peterson 2.0.
I don't think so because I think that Adrian Peterson's injury came late, and he's still what is he 22?
Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, he's 22.
Like that.
I mean, he's
22, 23.
He's in a sophomore season. I think he bounces back from this, but I don't know. I mean, I think Zimmer, like you were saying about Zimmer easing him back in, I don't think we should throw him right in. I think Latavius Murray should get a bulk of the carries, and maybe have Cook as like a I don't know what kind of option you want to throw in. I don't really know if Filippo has planned, and I'm not really sure what Zimmer wants to do. I don't know.
Well, I don't know about that because Cook's definitely a featured back. He's better than Latavius. Anyway, you want
I think
to
he
slice
is.
it.
Yeah, for
He's
sure.
a featured back.
He is.
You said the polar opposites. I don't know about polar opposites because they're both kind of guys who are bigger, stronger. They can make good cuts.
Sure.
I kind of see him as pretty similar. Maybe Dalvin Cook's just a little more talented, a little faster.
I think he's a little faster, yeah.
He
More shifty.
Has a little more shifty.
Mm-hmm.
I would have really liked to have seen Dalvin Cook and Jerick McKinnon be the two.
Yep.
I mean, obviously we weren't going to be able to keep Jerick because of the money, especially with the Kirk Cousins signing.
Yep.
Latavius is supposed to make a lot of money this year. I hope he does take a pay cut. I think even if he doesn't, you have a hard time justifying cutting him because who are you going to find? You need to find another running back no matter what.
Well, the other thing is, now you bring up cutting him, having him take a pay cut. What do you think that he has any trade stock? I mean,
that's one thing I was wondering.
I could think about. I mean, let's think about teams that need running backs. I mean, just even looking in the NFC, the Packers could definitely use a running back.
San Francisco.
San Francisco. And San Francisco's kind of the Giants definitely.
Giants are definitely.
Well, they just signed Jonathan Stewart today.
Did they? I think that Orleans Darkwa, he didn't do a whole. I guess I really didn't follow New York football.
They haven't had a
whole
run
lot.
game in years.
I mean, no, not since. Who the heck? You could even say since Tiki Barber.
Yeah, that has been it.
Who's the other guy that I'm thinking about though? They had another running back. What the heck was his name again?
I don't know. I can't remember.
No, but
they haven't had a good running game.
They haven't had a running game for at least a decade. I mean, at least. I can't really think about any Giants. There really any Giants players, since they won the Super Bowl in 2007, I mean, even being Plaxico Burress just completely, literally shooting himself in the foot. I mean, and then the bright spot. Just to finish with the Giants, the bright spots of that team. We'll see what Sterling Shepard's going to do this year. We're going to see. I think he's great in the slot. We'll see what Eli. We'll see if they. I honestly think they're going to draft quarterback. I mean, I don't see Eli Manning.
It depends on whether or not Cleveland takes Saquon, I think. But anyways,
takes Daquan Barkley. Are you talking?
Yeah, Saquon Barkley. I think Cleveland will take him. But anyways, to get back to the Vikings.
Yeah, let's get that.
I think there's got to be some kind of trade value, but the Vikings need to make it clear that if he doesn't take a pay cut, they're not going to cut him. Because if it's this we're probably going to cut him if he doesn't take a pay cut, then what are teams going to trade for him unless they really want him and it'll be like, here's a 7th round pick. So I mean that's better than nothing, but who knows what his trade value is.
Not sure.
Vikings. So with Kirk Cousins now, I think they're definitely favorites in the division.
Oh my gosh! Who else is going to contend with them?
Because Green Bay I don't know what they're doing. They're trading away Demarius Randall, the one cornerback on their
Randall.
team who wasn't completely hideous. Their defense is going to be no
Sam
better.
Shields got released, didn't he?
No Sam Shields. Yeah, no Demarius Randall. Kevin King's coming off of an injury. So their secondary is disastrous. Their defense is terrible. And our offense was the best it's been in years last year. Now you have Kirk Cousins to that.
Mm-hmm.
You have Dalvin Cook coming back.
Yep.
So I don't think Green Bay will be able to contend. Mm-hmm. Detroit, who knows where?
Detroit's a joke.
If Patricia,
I don't think Patricia.
I don't see. I like Jim Caldwell. I don't think he's going to be any better than Jim Caldwell.
Mm-hmm.
So Detroit is kind of, you got the quarterback, you got a better roster than Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, Detroit can't ever get it together. They're just historically
the other thing with
franchise.
Patricia, they're historically, they haven't recovered. I mean, even with Matthew Stafford, who I think he's one of my favorite quarterbacks. I think he's underrated. If he was playing for, I don't know. I mean, give me a better team.
Minnesota.
Yeah, give me Minnesota. I mean, he's probably not gonna be Hall of Fame because his performance hasn't warranted it. With Megatron, when Megatron left. I mean, that's tough. But I think that Matt Patricia, looking at the Patriots' defense, I think the Patriots' defense, the only reason why the Patriots win is because of Tom Brady and
Bill Belichick.
Yeah, and Bill Belichick. And you have,
I hate to throw this defense. It's not Patricia's defense.
I think it's both of their defense. It's not good. I mean, it used to be really good when they had, did they have Seo? Not Seo. Who's the other guy? Teddy Bruschi was around when Rodney Harrison was. Yeah, and then they had Vince Wilfork when he was in his prime. They had who was the other defensive tackle that they had? That God, the heck, he went to the Raiders after.
I don't know.
God, I forgot. He's kind of.
They've had some good defensive players.
They've had some good defensive players, yeah. To say the least. And I don't think Patricia's team is going to be good. And I think those Detroit fans are going to be looking for blood. I think a little bit. I don't know. I mean, he's really heralded. Coming off almost a couple Super Bowl appearances.
Yeah. He's literally a rocket scientist. Like he has a degree in aerospace engineering.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
He does. He has a degree in aerospace engineering. So he's definitely a super smart guy. Yeah. He's a good football coach. No question about it. I just don't think. I was really high on Jim Caldwell. I really like Jim Caldwell. Mm-hmm. The Lions have 2 winning seasons in a row, something that never happens for Detroit. Lions,
yeah.
I mean...
Exactly.
And I don't think Chicago's going to be a factor in the division at all this year either. I mean, Trubisky, I don't think he's good.
Trubisky.
Why did they not draft Deshaun Watson? I'm never...
North Carolina!
Yeah, North Carolina. Get out of here with that. That's why you never draft football players from North Carolina.
Well, hey, Julius Peppers. Hey, shut the fuck up.
Whatever.
Hey, he's good.
But... the Bears aren't going to be effective. They're making moves in free agency, so they're better. I don't know. They're all right. They're doing all right in free agency. They're not there yet. They're a young team. They're an up and coming team. They might be a 7 or 8 win team this year even.
Yeah,
but
you never know.
I don't think they're going to be any kind of factor in the division. So I think the Vikings with Kirk Cousins, with Mike Zimmer's defense, with these offensive weapons we have.
And we've signed everybody.
We
have everybody back.
We have everybody back this year.
Yeah.
Nick Easton, we placed a second round tender on him, so we should have him back. If we can draft another guard or a center.
I even think, let's get into that. I think that, if we go guard, if we go offensive tackle, I think that we go, maybe corner, we draft in that. But I'm just going to throw this out there. What if we draft quarterback this year? What do you think? I know Sam's on that. You said Lamar Jackson. What do you two yokels?
All right.
What do you think? Let's get there. Let's get there. Come on.
My prediction a week ago before Kirk Cousins. I thought Kirk Cousins was going to come here, but I was like, let's just do a hot take. Let's
for sure
refer to my video, gets more views. My projection.
Kirk Cousins, by the way.
My projection was Case Keenum, and you know what? Let's just go get Lamar Jackson, because why not? Now, if you look at the draft board, he's slipping. Why? Because NFL teams are not going to gamble right away on running quarterbacks.
No way.
We've seen that with any running quarterbacks who go to the NFL, they switch immediately. Marcus Mariota, he's swapping over. Cam Newton swapping over.
Yeah,
Colin Kaepernick couldn't make it in the league.
Yeah.
Cam Newton, he's not struggling in the league. He's Carolina's.
No. He switched. He used to be a running quarterback, and he switched over.
He's still kind of a running quarterback, but he's not.
But he's not
like Michael Vick. He's not a run first quarterback.
He's not Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's a run first quarterback. Marcus Mariota was a run first quarterback who had to change, and he did. He won a playoff game. Incredible. There's a lot of other quarterbacks who need change as well. Like a lot of run quarterbacks are simply switching positions at this point because they realize they can't make it. If you get hurt enough and your knee gets all screwed up, no one's gonna want you anymore. It's unfortunate.
Exactly.
So that's my theory is Lamar Jackson is going to slip in the second round. How far in the second round, I still don't know. It just depends on who's hungry for that quarterback second round. And don't ever count out the Vikings in trading up in the draft to get a player that they
Spielman
want.
likes
Exactly.
to trade up.
And honestly, I think that this would be the year to do it. Honestly, there are some high-profile offensive tackles. Number one, I think, trading up. I mean, I feel like we don't have a lot of needs. Like this year. I mean, I think that if we would draft, I think we definitely need to, draft. Maybe, quality over quantity. I think this year is the quality over quantity, honestly, because you're looking at some of the top offensive line prospects. I mean,
I would really like to get Price out of Ohio State. If we can get
like
him at 30, I really like that pick.
And I don't think we can. I don't know how high we're gonna move up, but I'm looking at the guy from Notre Dame. I've kind of just gone with a couple of three of those guys. You have McGlinchey from Notre Dame. He's 6'7" and he's like 315. He looks really thin. He moves quite well. He's got an old style face mask. I don't know if you've seen that. But McGlinchey from Notre Dame, I think he's number one. You have Phil Hold-A-Lot 2.0 in the guy from the guy from Oklahoma. He's 6'8", like 330.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Orlando?
Yeah, Orlando Brown. He's Orlando Brown.
Oh, is he the one who just completely choked in the combine? Had like 15
that?
reps on bench.
Hear this. He's the one who lost the 40-yard dash to Roger Goodell in a suit, by the way. Roger Goodell got a faster time.
No, are you serious?
That is,
Okay,
you can go look it up online.
No, I don't. No, I don't like him.
Shaquem Griffin with one hand had more than 20 reps on bench. Saquon Barkley 29 reps.
That's a problem, right? That's a problem, right there.
15 reps. That's
you can be good. You can be lazy in college and get away with it and be good.
I don't know.
There's a lot, but no. His stock just shot way down. You're looking very late rounds. It might be a steal of a pick, but no one's gonna risk taking him so high.
No, not anymore.
So I mean, Hold-A-Lot 2.0. Then who's the other guy from the small college he's kind of undersized? They're talking about moving him to center or guard. I don't remember.
For the draft coming up?
Yeah, I don't know who that guy is. He's like 6. He's smaller.
The Vikings?
No, I'm talking about an offensive tackle prospect. He comes from a small college.
Would that be Will Hernandez at University of Texas San Antonio? No,
I think that's who I'm talking about.
That's the guy Vikings looking at.
There's been a couple of
Will Hernandez.
Hey, do you have Wi-Fi?
Billy.
Yeah, but
Billy Price.
The Vikings, they could use another guard or a tackle, but I think they'll probably be looking at a guard. There's no the thing with the Vikings is like you were right when you said it. They don't have any needs. It's just something that they could get better at, and if they could get better at guard, at corner, and at defensive tackle, that's where you could look to.
I think that Newman's getting old. Obviously he's probably on his last season. I don't like re-signing him. I hate the fact that they re-signed him.
Did they re-sign him this year for a 1-year deal?
I think they did. I hate it.
I hope they did.
I don't like him.
I haven't seen anything
He's
yet.
old and washed up. He got his butt kicked in the playoffs.
Would you rather have Mackenzie Alexander out there than Terrence Newman?
Honestly, I'd rather have a 40-year-old Terrence Newman at this point. I think Mackenzie Alexander can still develop, but he definitely got exposed in those 2 playoff games.
Oh my goodness!
Especially in the New Orleans game. Everybody looked terrible in the Eagles game, but in the New Orleans game especially. So I could see us drafting a corner, probably second round. I think we go guard first round.
I don't know. I'm looking at WalterFootball.com. I don't know if you've heard about WalterFootball.com.
WalterFootball.com.
No, it's the guy who I forget about Isaiah Wynn from Georgia. You remember the guy from Georgia? I was looking at him. Colton Miller from... Yeah. Connor. They're talking... I forgot all these guys. Connor Williams from Texas.
That's
I like him too. There's the other guy from UCLA. I don't know who this guy from Mississippi State is. I don't know who that is. Yeah, well, that's the thing is that these guys are, so high.
Yeah, we gotta look.
I don't know if we're gonna move. Then that's what I was trying to say earlier.
Especially first round, we're not gonna move up. So. But obviously the draft hasn't happened yet.
The guy from Pittsburgh. That's what I'm talking about. I think Brian O'Neill from Pittsburgh. Was that the guy who I was thinking about? Was kind of the guy who I don't remember. But anyway.
Well, anyways,
Jordan.
I mean, obviously the draft hasn't happened yet. We're still working on free agency. But with this, this is the biggest free agent signing we've had in a long time. With Kirk Cousins, are the Vikings the favorites in the NFC?
I think they are. I mean, looking at the Philadelphia Eagles, I think that they got in. I think, the Vikings came to Philly and got their butts handed to them. But you also have to look at horrible. I'm obviously an NFL I'm superstitious when it comes to the NFL. I think it's as fixed as you're gonna get. But anyway, you look at how terrible the Super Bowl was. I mean, the Super Bowl was awful. I didn't watch the Super Bowl number one because I'm ticked off at the NFL. But what I did watch, I mean, guys were
no defense.
No defense, and that's what I'm saying.
That was the problem.
There's no defense, and I think that's Philly's biggest problem because if we come and knock Philly in the chops with our juggernaut offense that we're gonna have,
with Kirk Cousins, Captain Kirk,
you better get ready. And our defense is tough. I think I heard we were a little tough on the running game. I think our running game was a little weak last year, but. Honestly, I think that we're the favorites. I mean, who else is going to contend with us? You have Philly, New Orleans.
New Orleans is tough.
I mean, New Orleans gave us a run for our money. Prince was there, in spirit, preventing that interception and causing, Stephon Diggs. We got to put a picture of that up later.
All right. Speaking of that, I am going to disagree. We are not the favorites.
Why?
We are not the favorites because. As we saw during the free agency, I think the Eagles are still top. I still think they are.
You think?
Nick Foles is the best backup in the league.
Nick Foles.
And he's going to have to take one spot for a few more games.
I forgot about Carson Wentz. Yeah.
Carson Wentz is still there. People keep forgetting about him.
Yep.
They have definitely improved. They've already picked up a bunch of defensive signings, too. Holy cow, nothing's changed about this team.
Yeah.
Haloti Ngata, they just picked up.
Yeah, and we have one quarterback.
He's a defensive tackle from Detroit. He's really good. He played for Baltimore for a long time. Played for Detroit last couple of years. He's a really good defensive tackle. Add him in with Fletcher Cox. They still have.
I'm surprised no one here is talking about the Los Angeles Rams and the moves for all of a sudden getting two of the best cornerbacks in the league in one team.
What about the Niners? I mean, you can't count out the Niners.
No, you can't count out 49ers as well.
And I'm just gonna, I don't want to derail. I don't want to derail, but I could throw in North Carolina. You can throw on the Panthers too. I mean, the Panthers were there last year. I mean, they beat us. We went there. We went to Carolina.
Panthers are still there. You can't ever count out the Falcons.
I still think we're the favorites, though. Honestly.
Okay.
I'll put us the favorites over. We got to be the favorites over the Rams at this point. I mean, they have had some nice pieces. I think Kirk Cousins is bigger than a 32-year-old Aqib Talib. I think we got to be the favorites over Carolina. I think we got to be over the favorites over Carolina because it's Cam Newton throwing to a bunch of wannabe wide receivers who we have. I mean, who are they got no wide receivers. Well, I don't know. I think we got to be favorites over a couple of those teams. The Eagles would be the one where it's a little iffy because the Eagles are improving on defense. Their defense is really good up until the Super Bowl. They have Carson Wentz coming back. They have Alshon Jeffrey still. They still have Aguilar. I mean, they're going to be a good team.
Ajayi.
I don't think you can. I don't know if you can make the Vikings favorites over the Eagles, but I think you certainly can make them the favorites over anybody else in the NFC at this point.
Okay.
See, what I was thinking is, you mentioned all these underling teams. You mentioned like Los Angeles. You're talking Niners. You're talking Eagles. You're talking Carolina. We're talking New Orleans. We're talking the Falcons. I think that the Vikings. What's their schedule? I don't know how difficult the schedule is. Is it going to be tough next year? I think that if they do well enough where they can get like a high seed, like a 1 or 2 seed, you can let those underling teams kind of broil in themselves and kind of beat themselves up, and then you're going to get the best of the best. I think those underling teams, like I just described, are going to go head to head because they're not going to be as high of a seed. They'll knock each other off. And we'll probably get a bye in some way. Like kind of how last year went. I think that because we were so high, we kind of hopped in and played a couple games, won them, and so I think they're the favorites.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be, once again, just to wrap this up, it's going to be, I see another NFC showdown between Philadelphia Viking. Who's going to win? I guess we're going to have to find out later. But
we'll see how the season goes.
Yes, I agree. Now, to the main course of our podcast, the NCAA tournament coming up.
Now, first off, I'm just going to interject real quick because I'm a huge North Carolina fan. I currently have my UNC. Here comes I have my UNC champion shirt on. It was locker room
I'm
shirt.
sorry. Whoever's listening to this.
So, I'm defending champs. They've made it twice in a row. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I am very, very, I'm very,
he ain't going to pick North Carolina to win it all.
No, I'm not. But I'm very biased.
Oh,
I'm biased against Duke. And so just
probably
gonna throw that out there. Biased against Kentucky, too, because I hate Kentucky.
All right. Well,
okay, so how are we going to start this? Because
all right,
this
so
is
we're moving on to some not really breaking news, but this did happen today.
Yep.
The sixth man of the year for the ACC, playing for the Virginia Cavaliers, DeAndre Hunter, is out. How will this affect Virginia in the tournament in what I would say is the hardest region? I think the South region is the hardest to get out of.
Well,
we got some great teams in there.
Yep.
What do you guys take on that?
So,
think they'll get out alive?
Take on this. So, they just played North Carolina. North Carolina played like crap against Virginia, But, the deal about Virginia is Virginia doesn't, it doesn't matter who Virginia is playing. Virginia is going to play the way Virginia wants to play. I mean, their offense is incredibly effective. I mean, I watched them play against, I've seen them play many games. And they play at the same level. They don't turn over the ball. They're strong with the ball. They don't have the most athletic guys at all. I mean, these guys aren't 5 stars. These guys are 3 stars, 4 stars, guys who are transferring in. Kyle Guy is
my
the man.
guy.
He's
the
my
guy.
I mean, he was running back screens and cuts. I mean, against North Carolina, he tore apart that North Carolina defense, and they have been playing quite well. Does this affect Virginia in the run? Yeah, because I don't think Virginia is as deep as they want to be. I think Tony Bennett, is gonna, he's gonna deal with it because I think he is coach of the year easily. Both with ACC, and I think he's one of the best young coaches in the NCAA. Hunter, he's 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". He adds length. He's solid. He's a good rebounder. He's not a huge offensive threat, but not many of those guys on Virginia are. Does this affect them in the coming games? I don't really know if he's a starter. I don't really remember.
He's a sixth man.
Is he a sixth man? Oh, is that what you were saying? Yeah, that's what you were saying. Okay, so he's coming off the bench for him. Virginia needs bench points. That's part of their game. Does this affect them? Looking at the bracket, I have them obviously being UMBC. I think Kansas State is going to beat Creighton because Creighton is soft. Kansas State has some quality wins. They're playing in the Big 10.
I got Creighton.
Or Big 12, excuse me. You have Creighton. But
Big East, man.
Either way, yeah, I don't think the Big East is that good. Big East is
good.
trash. I think Kansas State, Kansas State, I think is so. You have Kansas State. If Virginia plays Kansas State or Creighton, I think they're coming out on top just because. Hey, we're getting there. I'm talking about Virginia right now. I think that when they get there, they can easily beat this team. I think that either Kansas State or.
Well, yeah, I don't question there. I mean, they're gonna win the first game no matter what.
But
Creighton, I think
the
they'll beat
second,
Creighton too.
The third game is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be either between Arizona and Kentucky. With this, I picked Kentucky. Honestly, I picked Kentucky.
Over Arizona.
Yeah, so I had Kentucky beating Davidson, obviously. Arizona beating Buffalo. Kentucky and Arizona. Let's get into the meat of this. Arizona has the number 1 prospect. DeAndre Ayton is the number 1 prospect in this year's draft. He's 7'1", 7'2". He's a solid 250, 260. You can't teach size. He has a great jumper. I don't know if you've watched him. He can extend to the 3-point range. His two percentage. I mean, he's shooting at least high 50%, high 50s, low 60s, and a lot of his scoring not only comes from just the fact that he can elevate and they throw a lot of lobs to him, but he can shoot the ball around. I mean, you have him at the top of the key. He can hit anywhere inside the inside 3-point range. But Kentucky, they've been inconsistent all year, but they in the SEC tournament, they just had some quality wins. They just beat out Alabama, I think, almost by 20.
John Calipari's out for blood.
Yeah, exactly. He's out for blood. He just had some recruiting losses. He's a big freaking baby, with losing Zion Williamson to Duke, losing Cam Reddish to Duke, losing RJ Barrett to Duke, and he's salty. And I think... Well, and the deal is, Sam, they've had some quality wins in the SEC tournament. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander
They dominated the SEC tournament.
Well, yeah, they
Killed
did.
it.
Yeah, and they beat Tennessee, who did sweep them this year. And they came out to beat. They were the team to play. this year. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is starting to show up. Kevin Knox, he and Kevin Knox are starting to show up. I'm really liking it. It's either you have PJ Washington showing up, or you have Wenyen Gabriel showing up. I mean, Wenyen Gabriel went 7 for 7 for 3, I think, a couple days ago. I don't remember who. I think that was against Arkansas. I mean, 7 for 7 for 3. I mean, that's ridiculous. When he's on, he's on. They do have Jared Vanderbilt is injured. The deal with Arizona is their way of play. Alonzo Trae has not been that great. He just got banned for substance. This is his second or third offense, which is great. With the Sean Miller, supposedly playing DeAndre Ayton $100,000.
He can't play in the tournament.
He's going to play in the tournament.
He is.
No,
okay.
he has. But I'm just saying they've had some up and down. Raleigh Alkins has been up and down. You have Cartwright. God, what the heck is his name? I don't remember. So Arizona isn't as deep. Arizona, he's been struggling. Sean Miller earlier in the year has said he just can't get these guys to play, and I agree with him. They're a Final Four caliber team if they play, but in this sense, Kentucky beats them. I think Kentucky is young. They're on fire right now. I think that they have a couple lottery picks. They're not a huge one and done team like I was thinking they were going to be this year.
But still freshman heavy team.
It's freshman heavy team. They start all freshmen. And so when Virginia gets to Kentucky or Arizona, I think what happens is both teams, number one, the first thing that both teams have in common is the huge amount of athleticism and the huge amount of size. Virginia has Salt. He usually comes off the bench. He's 6'10". They don't have too much at big and at the big man. Kentucky has Nick Richards at 7 feet. They have P.J. Washington 6'8". Jaron Vanderbilt is 6'9". William Gabriel is 6'9". Kevin Knox is 6'9". Ty Winyard isn't playing. Honestly, Kentucky has the size. They have the length. Gilgeous Alexander is 6'6". They start guys. Hamidou Diallo, who I'm not even going to talk about Hamidou Diallo because even though he thinks he's going to be a one and done, he's terrible right now. He's averaging 10 points a game. His field goal percentage is low. He can't shoot the three. He's just been a huge disappointment for Kentucky. But if he does start, Kentucky starts, all their starting players are above 6'5", and Virginia doesn't have that. Kyle Guy at 6'3". They start, like I said, Salt 6'10". Hunter, was 6'7", even though he's a 6-man. They don't have the size, and it's the same way with Arizona. Arizona's got size. If you better push around DeAndre Ayton, and he'll cause fouls. I don't know how good of a defensive player Salt is. He's kind of a limited player. He's kind of just a big guy who just kind of takes up space. And they're gonna have to double team DeAndre Ayton. Virginia's defense is as good as anybody's.
Yeah,
the best in the league.
Best defense in college basketball.
Can they contain Kentucky's size? Can they contain Arizona's size? And how do they move forward from that? If they do escape these games, which it's anybody's game here, because whether it's Kentucky or Arizona, both teams have had young issues. They've had issues with motor. They've had issues with consistency. They don't play as a team. They are incredibly talented. Kentucky had the number 1 or the number 2 recruiting class. Arizona has NBA caliber guys, but can they play as a team against a Virginia team who plays as a team, who has been playing together for 2-3 years? It's going to be interesting. And going forward, I have Virginia making it to the championship against Villanova. That's me. I have them beating whoever comes out of the Miami, Tennessee, Nevada, Cincinnati mix. That's what I've got. I think Virginia is making it to the championship.
Okay, all right. I got one question here. So I think I just have Arizona over Kentucky because of DeAndre Ayton. Cincinnati this year's a 2 seed. They're usually an 8 or 9 seed, and they usually lose first round. Mm-hmm. Is Cincinnati this year? Are they a different team? Are they as good? Are they a 2 seed? And how far do you think they can make it to the Elite 8? Do you think they can make it past Tennessee, Loyola, Chicago, Miami? I mean, whoever ends up through there.
Yeah, I think obviously they're going to beat Georgia State. That's going to be the way it is. Nevada and Texas, that's going to be a tough game. I mean, like Sam was mentioning with Muhammad Bamba.
I got Texas.
I hit Texas over Nevada. The Twins from Nevada are playing quite well. They just got upset in the tournament, didn't they? They did.
They lost. They're from.
Are they Pac-12?
Mountain West.
Mountain West. Yeah, they got upset.
San Diego State just won that?
Yep, they beat Nevada, and so they're kind of reeling. Okay. Texas is kind of on a surge. And you have Alex Osatowski, who is transfer from Tulane. He brings size, he brings versatility. He can jump out. Muhammad Bamba with like a 7'9", 7'10", 7'8" wingspan. He can block anything. His offensive skill set, I don't know. I mean, he's averaging in the mid-teens. I think that he's barely scratching the surface of his potential. His motor's a little low. I don't think that they have it. I don't think Texas. Shaq is smart. I'm jumping all over the place, but Shaq is smart. For all the talent that he's accumulated, he just can't do anything with it. And this Texas team is just a very A very good.
Do you believe this is a make or break tournament? Is this a make or break tournament for Shaka Smart to keep his job?
I think that after this, yeah, because you look at Rick Barnes. Earlier, Rick Barnes was a good coach. He had been there for 15 years. I think Rick Barnes was there for a while. He famously recruited Kevin Durant. He had Miles Turner. You bringing in Jarrett Allen last year. They've had a ton of talent. He didn't really have a lot of success either. I think this is a make or break tournament for Shaka Smart. He's got one of his most talented teams this year, and Texas has been incredibly overwhelming. Their offense is just not there because Bamba. I don't think Bamba's got it. I think he's a one and done for sure because of his wingspan. But he's thin. He's thin as a rail. His jumper just hasn't been as consistent as it needs to be. You're watching him with his dunks. That's what his deal is. He can get like 3 feet over the rim. Not really, but I think Nevada beats Texas here. Cincinnati and Nevada is what I have. It depends on if Nevada can knock him in the mouth right away. Nevada, like I just said, has been reeling. They kind of got upset a little bit. Cincinnati, playing in the American.
That's what I think. Cincinnati,
they're too high.
Faith in Cincinnati.
No, I would even, in my opinion, the number 2 seed probably should have been Tennessee. The number 3 seed, I think Kentucky is warranted a higher seed.
3.
Than they have. I think that they're number 3
at least
or
at
number
the
2.
RPI right now, they're number 10,
Yeah.
a 5. So you're basically putting them in the 25 to 29 pool. No.
I think that Kentucky warrants a higher pick. They hit some rocky patches early. I think they had a 3-game or 4-game losing streak, and like I said earlier, Tennessee swept them. They came back in the SEC tournament and they pumped them.
Yep.
So this Kentucky team is coming for blood. But getting back to Cincinnati, I don't think they make it into the Sweet 16. I think that they get beat by Nevada.
Okay. So now for a little hot take for us. So look at the bracket. Give or take, minus the 8-9 and 10-7. What upset do you see almost for sure happening? I'll go first for this.
Okay.
For me personally, I see this Loyola Chicago team going up and just beating Miami. Loyola Chicago is the best mid-major coming out. They are.
I don't see it. Miami is an ACC team. They have some quality, some ACC. The ACC. I'm biased towards the ACC. I'm biased towards these teams because it's the best conference in basketball. The ACC has been incredibly competitive. Florida State has been up and down a little bit. Yeah, when you beat North Carolina at home and you give them a run for their money in the ACC tournament. Granted, North Carolina did pull away. They have a win against Duke, I believe. I don't remember. I think Duke lost to Miami. Miami is too good. Bruce Brown is gone. But with DeJuan Hewell with size, they've got size. They have a shooter in God, what the heck is his name? He's Croatian, I think. And then you have Lonnie Walker. Lonnie Walker is going to make or break this Miami team this year. And I think that with Loyola Chicago, I honestly think he's going to step up. He's a surefire one and done. He had an early rough start, but I think Lonnie Walker is going to carry this Miami team.
Well, if you look at the RPI here, 22nd in the nation is Loyola Chicago. Where's Miami? 28th. Explain that.
Explain that. I don't care. I think Miami has had some tough losses.
You're ignoring the facts.
I don't care. I'm going to ignore the facts because guess what? Because guess what? This Miami team is talented, more talented than Chicago.
All right, so Blaine, your turn.
What? My upset, the one that I have going right now, honestly, like I threw it out there, I like Texas Tech and SF Austin. I'm going to throw it out there. It's probably not going to happen.
Okay,
but
no, SF Austin is a March team. We've seen that throughout the years. They always get into the round of 32.
I have Marshall. Marshall and Wichita State. That should probably be a big one. I've heard, I've done my homework. One. Marshall, Wichita State, I don't know. I have Butler beating Arkansas. That's one thing that I'm going to see. I think I have New Mexico State beating Clemson. Clemson just had one of their star players go out. I don't remember his name. Clemson is another ACC team. But I think New Mexico State's going to give them a run for their money. I think Charleston and Auburn, that's going to be another good one. I'm just looking, kind of going down the list here. I have Arizona State beating from Texas Christian. Honestly, I think Arizona State's going to beat Syracuse. Syracuse they're depleted.
So that's your first sure. You're going to lock that up right now. Syracuse is going to go beat TCU.
I think so. No, I said Arizona State's going to go beat TCU. That's going to be my big one.
Oh, apologies. Okay.
Either that or I
pick one.
don't think that there's anything else. Or there's San Diego State over Houston. I really think that San Diego State is on a hot run. I don't know if that's going to translate. But my biggest one right now is New Mexico State beating Clemson. Even though that's not a huge upset.
I have that.
I think that's going to happen. All
right, Nolan?
Oh, I got a couple upsets. I obviously have New Mexico State over Clemson, too.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of these. That one in Loyola Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at most of analysts' brackets at this point, they have Loyola Chicago and they have New Mexico State winning the first round. Another one, St. Bonaventure UCLA. Whoever wins that game, I think, is going to beat Florida.
That's gonna be an interesting one. You look at what you say? You just said UCLA and St. Bonaventure.
They play tonight.
I think it's going to be UCLA. I think UCLA has been, it's been an off year. I mean, obviously, how can you repeat what you had last year? I mean, you had TJ Leaf, Ike Anigbogu, Lonzo Ball, who I hate. But anyway, you have Lonzo Ball. They've really been underwhelming. Jalen Hands has, he's just a freshman. Chris Wilkes, he's just a freshman. They have veteran leadership in, in Gigi Golemon and in Thomas Welsh. Now, they really haven't done that well. I think that early, the Chinese scandal really rocked them early. They have a couple freshmen.
They needed LiAngelo Ball. I mean, he was going to go one and done. He's going to go to the Lakers.
Oh yeah, he's going to be number. Yeah, he's going to be lottery pick.
Yeah,
he's not. like they hilariously burned him. He wasn't even on any NBA analyst. Anyway, anybody's draft analyst. I think UCLA is a dark horse here because I think they will get in.
I think St. Bonaventure could beat them.
No, I think the UCLA is talented enough. They've been
my favorite RPI chart. They were higher.
I don't know. Okay, we'll find out.
A lot of people have St. Bonaventure winning that game. A lot of analysts have been reading up on it. St. Bonaventure, but overall they say whoever wins that St. Bonaventure UCLA game will beat Florida.
Okay.
One more upset I had was South Dakota State over Ohio State.
No, I have been looking at that game.
I think Ohio State's a year early. South Dakota State is in the tournament every year, winning games more often than not, winning at least one game more often than not. Ohio State, I don't know. I don't know if they can.
Okay.
I don't know if they can.
I could see it. I could see it.
I mean, I could definitely see it. The tournament is famous for its upsets. And
especially those 12 over 5s.
Exactly, and 12 over 5. I don't really know any historic 12 over 5s.
Always 1 to 2 per tournament. Am I wrong by saying that?
I would say, yeah. I mean, because you have a couple years ago, like we were just talking about.
We had last
SF
year
Austin was 12. I think it was a 12.
I think it was Sweet 16.
Mexico State's a 12.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to happen. It usually happens.
Murray State is a 12.
Yeah, Murray State.
I've been looking at it, but no, I don't think so.
I don't think it's. Who do they play again?
They're playing a West Virginia team who is the streakiest team in college basketball.
West Virginia.
We know that's true.
I think the deal with West Virginia, you have one of the best guards, in the nation with, what the heck is this? Javon Carter. Gosh, I forgot his name. Javon Carter. He's been there before. He's a senior. They famously talked about, when they played Kansas. They famously talked about him having the best, backcourt in the nation, most experienced. I disagree with that. But, West Virginia, Bob Huggins has struggled to get consistency from this team. But I'm not counting him out but the deal is with West Virginia, here their biggest flaws. They don't shoot the 3 ball very well. They can fall into really some offensive low funks. They don't have any size. I mean, Kanate is a great shot blocker, but at 6'8", 6'9", he's just not what West Virginia needs for size. I think that West Virginia lacks in many areas. I think they get beat by Wichita State. Honestly, I have Wichita State over Marshall in this first bracket that I've done. I think that West Virginia doesn't go very far. They're too streaky. They're experienced, but they're streaky. They don't with those lacking areas.
So now with the team of 68 plus 4 in, there's a couple teams who are scratching their heads thinking, why didn't we get in the tournament? So I'd like to know which team you guys thought should have gotten in the tournament. I'll go first again. The team I'm going to throw out there is St. Mary's.
Okay.
Do I think they should have gotten in the tournament? No.
Okay.
But does everyone else think? Yes. Because if you look, at the polls, they're 20. They finished 25th in the AP poll, and they missed it. Everyone's wondering, well, why? Well, think about their conference. Only one team from their conference made it to the bracket, that's
Sure.
Gonzaga.
Sure.
And Gonzaga is historically a good team.
My thing with these snubs is you look at USC and you look at Oklahoma State. Now, USC was a very talented team. They were really heralded. I mean, I think in the beginning of the year they were supposed to. I think they were in a top 5 seed. They were supposed to be really, really good. They've since fallen off. But the biggest thing with Oklahoma State and USC and a lot of the teams that were snubbed is, guess what? They have been linked to the NCAA the NCAA and the FBI, going in on the programs. I agree with it.
Conspiracy.
I think it's a conspiracy. I think it's true. I think
that might be true. I
think so.
That would actually make sense.
Because there's no reason why Oklahoma State why Oklahoma State and USC didn't make it. I think those are my 2 top teams because, I mean, we're going to get to this, but Oklahoma making the tournament, are you bloody kidding me? You have
can I just mention something quick about that?
I mean,
that was going to be our next topic since it just gelled right together. Is ESPN to blame here? By constant, it doesn't even matter if it's not their game. There will be a little red boxes about Oklahoma and Trae Young and his stats.
Yep.
That they stopped showing the stats because they started falling at the second half of the season.
Sports Center would
honestly,
Trae Young.
Honestly, I think that's the only reason why Oklahoma make it. The NCAA is making a ton of money off of Trae Young. The broadcasting, everybody's talking about Trae Young, and I was a little skeptical about his abilities early on because you're looking at how many field goals he takes to. I mean, he scored a 30. He shoots a lot. But you also have to realize that he has some turnover issues. A lot of his shot selection is rather poor.
He's a freshman.
But you also have to realize, he's a freshman. He's the only bright spot on this team. I mean, this Oklahoma team is not very good. They're signing low 4 stars, high 3 stars. Oklahoma is they've had obviously they've had past success in Buddy Hield and stuff. But this Oklahoma team, you're not having blue bloods going, blue chip recruits going there, and he's the only bright spot on this Oklahoma team, and that's the reason why they made it. It's because they're making a ton of money off of him. Trae Young, I think that the NBA has to deal with this too, because I think that the NBA is putting him into this position. Rhode Island's going to be a tough game.
I think Rhode Island's going to beat them.
They're going to beat the heck out of them.
They look like a great team for the Atlantic 10 all year.
This is what the NBA wants to see from Trae Young. They've seen a lot of up and down, against Alabama. They've seen him play Alabama. They've seen him play Kansas. They've seen him play good talent. I think he's kind of struggled against top talent, honestly. West Virginia, the first game, they popped him in the mouth. And he shot, he had about 20 or 30, mid-20s, early 30. I think he had about 25, 27 points. But he struggled against talent. And honestly, I think ESPN is throwing him in there because he's a moneymaker, honestly.
Well, 2-8 in their last 10, 8-12 in the Big 12. They don't deserve to be in there.
They're not supposed to be there.
A couple quick things to mention. In quick free agency news, Teddy Bridgewater is agreeing to a 1-year deal with the Jets.
Really?
And Mo Wilkerson is going to sign with the Packers.
Really?
Interesting stuff there.
No kidding, Mo. Really?
But I'm surprised about that. The Packers don't sign free agents.
Yeah.
But anyway,
should be interesting.
Getting back to the bracket here. Yeah, Oklahoma. It seems like the Trae Young. You want the superstars in the tournament.
Yep.
I don't really. The one thing is the rate. It's not going to hurt the ratings if they don't put them in there. So this whole they want the money kind of a thing. That seems a little more of a fishing for something. Fishing for a conspiracy.
I think it's a conspiracy.
You're fishing for a conspiracy because people are going to watch the games regardless if Trae Young's playing or not. If Oklahoma gets past Rhode Island, I mean, the Trae Young versus Duke, I guess that could be kind of a good angle. But it is what it is. I think the last topic we have here for the tourney was about Missouri, and they got Porter back.
Honestly,
so, can they make some noise? Can they upset? Could they upset? Could they be one that could upset an Xavier in the round of 32?
Do they? I don't think they do. Number one, I think that Missouri they're a pretty decently young team. Jonte Porter, he reclassified from the 2018 class to the 2017 class because he wanted to be with Michael. Jonte has been okay. You have Xavier Tillman coming off the bench for Missouri. And then you have Michael Porter. You have Blake Harris. He transferred early. I think he transferred back to North Carolina where he's originally from. So he's kind of gone. Didn't really do a whole lot. This Missouri team, I don't think they beat Xavier. Number one, because Michael Porter, I mean, he granted it was his first game back in, 5 months? Probably. Yeah. He hasn't played for a long time. I think he had 12 points. I think he went, 3 or 4 or 5 for 12, like 17. I don't even remember how many. But does this Missouri team beat Xavier? No. I think if Michael Porter all of a sudden, goes from 60% to 100% in a matter of a few weeks. Did they beat Florida State? Did they beat Florida State? Yeah, they beat Florida State. But did they beat Xavier? No. Missouri, it's going to be interesting. Michael Porter has got to make a case for being a top pick, though. He has discussed not wanting to be a one and done. So I don't know. I don't think Missouri beats Xavier.
Money's there, he takes it.
Yeah, I think the money's there.
Yeah, that's. Why
wouldn't
Xavier.
you?
I'm high on the Big East, so I don't see
I
it.
don't know why you're so. Why are you so high on the Big East?
Big East is tough. It's depth too. It's like the Big Ten of football, right? Everybody talks about the SEC, the SEC. It's like the SEC in football you can compare to the ACC in basketball. The top teams are really good, but then it falls off when it goes down the line a little bit. That's kind of like the Big East is one of those where you got those same top teams and then it's really strong through. You got a lot of tough teams down, like Butler's tough, Creighton's tough. Even these smaller teams in the Big East are tough. So
I don't know.
These big schools like Xavier, Villanova.
Well, I don't think that Xavier should be a number 1 seed, honestly. I think Xavier, not saying that North Carolina should be, because North Carolina should be a 2 or 3.
Xavier lose to Providence in the Big East tournament.
They did. And Xavier, they're 20-5. I think that the Big East is soft. I'm going to go exactly against Nolan here. I think the Big East is soft. Villanova is the big fish in a small pond. Butler's always there, and so is Xavier, but I don't think that
Creighton.
Xavier...
Creighton's in the tournament every year.
Creighton's always there. But they don't go very far. Last year Xavier got pumped.
Xavier went to the Elite 8 last year.
Yeah, they got pumped in North Carolina, though. But anyway,
they went to
a different
the Elite 8
topic.
as an 11 seed. They're a 1 seed this year.
All right, to wrap up this segment, give me a very fast Final Four and a champion, starting with Blaine. Go.
Starting Final Four, I have... This is just the first bracket I filled out, honestly. I've been lazy.
A hot take. Go.
The first thing I have UVA, I have North Carolina, I have Villanova, I have Duke. I have Virginia beating North Carolina, I have Villanova beating Duke, I have Virginia and Villanova. I honestly think that Villanova comes out on top this year. Villanova is talented. They have consistency. Like ESPN has said, they're an offensive juggernaut. They're shooting well from the field. They're shooting well from 3. They've got size. They've got talent. Jalen Brunson's a stud. You have future lottery pick Michael Bridges. Amari Spellman has been... he's been kind of under the radar, because he redshirted last year. But Brunson and Bridges, I think, are gonna pull it together.
All right, Nolan, please give me your Final Four and a champion.
This is a preliminary Final Four.
Yeah, this is early.
This is not. We're all betting on these. We're all betting on our brackets.
We got one more.
This is not the one we're betting on.
And I'm gonna say the record. This is not my selection.
Yeah.
This is just first thing.
It's called a hot take for a reason, gentlemen. All right.
Go
for it.
So I got Virginia in the Final Four.
Yep.
Obviously, I wrote through this yesterday before I found out about their 6th man of the year being. But anyways, I had Virginia, Michigan, Villanova, and Duke.
Michigan.
Okay.
Michigan.
Okay.
I had Virginia over Michigan. I had Villanova over Duke, and I had Villanova winning it all. Too.
Yeah, honestly,
they're hard to pick against.
Villanova. God, who's the coach? I always forget the coach for Villanova. He's always Jay Wright. Yeah. He's the best dressed guy, best dressed coach
hair.
in the best hair, best dressed.
He's really. You seen that Dove commercial?
I haven't, no. But he's built himself a program. The last 4 years, Villanova has been quite good.
Okay. My Final Four, obviously the Virginia thing is going to affect my picks. So, out of the South region, it will be Kentucky.
Okay.
You need experience in the NCAA tournament. You never see a team. I've only seen a few teams ever just walk into a tournament and do so well. Mm-hmm. And I think Kentucky is going to be an experienced team who's going to get that far. North Carolina will beat Xavier. I'm calling it now. As long as Wofford doesn't show up in the tournament again, North Carolina will make it there. Out of the West. Now going to the East.
Lipscomb's the new Wofford.
Now going to the East. I had my speculations earlier, but I do believe Villanova will be going to the Final Four.
I think we need to discuss this right after we kind of get done with hot takes. We need to discuss the Midwest a little bit. And then the East, who do you have?
The East, I had a Villanova. I was just throwing random teams in there.
Yeah, you got Texas Tech written down there.
Texas Tech.
Did that come to my mouth?
Purdue is.
On the Midwest, it will be Duke. That recruiting class is going to catch up to some teams.
I think
simply can't field the team that they do.
I don't know.
It will be Virginia beating North Carolina.
It'll be
yeah, I think
Villanova beating Duke.
Yep.
And Villanova will
Yep.
be the 2018 NCAA champions for the second time in 3 years.
Yep. So, I
Or as
agree
bad
with
as
that.
the Athletic,
So-
all picking Villanova.
Well, Michael Bridges.
Did you pick
is-
Villanova too?
I did.
Everybody's
All three
picking
of us.
Villanova.
So I think
I
what
like
we
that
need to
everybody's
do here.
picking
How are
Villanova.
we on segments here? I think that what we need to do is we need to discuss
Quickly.
like we already had snubs. We already discussed that. But one thing that we did forget to discuss was the Michigan State versus Duke.
All right, let me go
Honestly,
through a little
This
quick
is, I
context.
think we need to
All right,
discuss
all right,
the
let me
Midwest
hype-
because it's the most talented bracket.
Let me hype this up quick. Can I ask who you guys are gonna pick for the winners of the Duke versus Michigan State game?
Honestly, I
Well,
think
we all had Duke in the Final Four. So.
honestly in
So do
the
you guys
honestly,
do you think Duke's gonna win that?
Honestly, in the
This
beginning
is-
of the year, you look at the beginning of the year. The reason why Michigan State lost in the first few games,
Yeah, I think it was like the second game of the
second or
year.
third game. The reason why Michigan State lost that game is because they turned the ball over way too much. And that's Michigan State's issue. They're loaded with talent. Jaren Jackson is a lottery pick. I mean, they're saying he's going top 5 in some. You have
You got a lot of
Miles
lottery
Bridges.
picks
Miles
in this
Bridges
game. Lottery
is a
pick.
stud. Yeah. You have Xavier Tillman coming off the bench. You have who's the other big man for Michigan State? Forgot his name. He's 6'8". He's a huge man. I forgot his name. But anyway.
I don't fucking know.
Then you
I
have
can't remember.
Cassius Winston at guard, and then you have Langford at shooting guard. It's a talented Michigan State team. They have a lot of lottery picks, like I just said. But the deal is if they can limit the turnovers, if they can, if Jaren Jackson shows up, I mean, he's averaging 23 points or 23 minutes a game. I think it's ridiculous that he's not playing enough. If Michigan State can limit turnovers and they can pop Duke in the mouth, because Duke has been reeling. This team, for as talented as it is, it's all about Bagley. And I'm going to go with that ESPN analyst talking about, it's all about Bagley. It's because it is all about Bagley. I mean, I don't think he's the most talented guy in this draft, even though, like I said,
You're very down on Bagley.
I'm very down on Bagley.
If Bagley
No, that's not that.
You'd be
No,
singing his
I would
praises
not be
all
singing this.
day.
I
Here we
probably
go.
would be, but the fact that he's playing for Duke changes that.
You
He's
wait
got a
for
great
that
motor,
one,
but
yeah.
he is as talentless as you're gonna get. All he does is dunk the ball. The only reason why he's good is because he's got a great motor. His shot is not good when you're comparing DeAndre Ayton and Marvin Bagley. Yeah. But Michigan State and Duke, I think it comes down to and also I have to interject here. Duke is starting to play a 2-3 zone. And that zone, I think, has been underwhelming because North Carolina has exploited that. Has exploited that zone 2 out of 3 times. Yes. But anyway, in the ACC tournament, I think that really shows Duke's weakness. Their defense sucks. For being as talented and as big as they are, their defense sucks. Their offense is, at times, it's really tough to watch because, Marvin Bagley, I hate him, but, he's a good player. He good defense. Like I said,
When did
with
they
North
start
Carolina,
playing a 2-3 zone?
they started playing a 2-3 zone in the middle of the year because their defense has just been terrible.
See, because I only saw him just the beginning of the year because I haven't seen him this year.
And you haven't seen them
But,
since.
yeah, a 2-3 zone.
Nope. And teams have exploited it. North Carolina. 2-3 times. But the deal is Duke's defense sucks. Their offense is only good when Grayson Allen is on it, when Marvin Bagley isn't guarded tough. I mean, like I said, with in the ACC tournament, Garrison Brooks and Luke May really stepped up and popped Marvin Bagley in the mouth. Now, granted, he did have 19 and 21, but those are just coming off the fact of North Carolina. But against them. But granted, it's because North Carolina doesn't have the size, and he kind of had some easy putbacks. But anyway, I think Duke's offense. If Gary Trent can play, if he can shoot, and when he's on, he's on. I mean, he's had a few games early in the year where he's just gone off. Trevon Duval, he's going to be another catalyst because he's been played over in favor of Javin DeLaurier, who is a 6'10" sophomore out of I think he's from Virginia. I don't quite remember. I don't think he's from Virginia, but I think he's from East Coast. Anyway, he's been he's been played over Duval because Duval just isn't good. He can really get to the hoop, but his shooting is abysmal. If Duke doesn't play defensively and if Duke's offense is sluggish, they're going to get beat.
So
but ultimately, I think Duke beats them.
We're going to be in favor of Duke. All right.
Yeah, we all.
Sorry, I'm
we
getting
all picked
long-winded.
Duke here.
I'm getting
Oh,
long-winded.
All right,
But what about Duke playing Kansas though?
Duke playing.
I think
It's
Kansas
going to be
is gonna
another
make it.
Kansas self-imploding in the tournament. Is Mario Chalmers on their team to help get another move? No. It's just Bill Self
Exactly.
choking the
terrible
tournament as the
coach.
number 1 seeded team.
Exactly.
Why is it Kansas can't ever make it to the
Kansas
Final
sucks.
Four?
No.
They can't.
They're not going to
make it to the Final Four.
Hey, you know what? They're not going to let me down this year because I'm not going to pick them.
No, they're not
That's how
gonna
it's
make
going to
it.
be.
If Duke makes it, I
I always
think.
like, hey, Kansas, Final Four. They're a lock.
Honestly, I think
No.
both
2 games
Duke.
later.
I honestly think if Duke or MSU, one of the two makes it into the Elite Eight.
One of those two.
One of those two is gonna beat Kansas.
I think
It's just
so.
the way it is.
Okay.
Kansas, the deal is, Devontae Graham. They have a lot of veterans.
stud.
Devontae Graham is a stud. Last game, they just lit up West Virginia. I think they made 15 threes. Honestly, they live and die by the three. Bill Self likes a traditional big man. They don't have that. Udoka Azubuike has a knee
He's
strain.
out.
He's out. I think he's gonna be out for a long time. They
say-
have Sylvia,
They say he's gonna become. They say
Yeah.
he'll be out the first game for sure.
which that'll be fine.
Maybe back the second.
I don't know,
Third.
and they need him.
They say if he comes back,
Yeah.
they're hoping for a comeback for the second game so they can
Mhm.
kind of like ease him back into it.
They need him. He's got the highest field goal percentage. He's 7 feet, solid 7 feet, 7'1". He's 280 pounds. They need him. Silvio De Sousa has been great. He just went 8 for 8 in that tournament win over West Virginia. Malik Newman has showed up. I think that's great. Sviatoslav Mikhailuk, he's gonna be the dark horse. Sviatoslav Mikhailuk is either he's on or he's off, and that's gonna be a big thing. LeGerald Vick. I think LeGerald Vick needs to step up too. This Kansas team has issues with offense. They've had some really questionable losses in the game. Their motor is good, but I think it all has to do with their size and their lack of it. They're not very deep. Kansas lives and dies by the three, which is typical of a lot of these teams. A lot of these teams, specifically North Carolina, Kansas. Like I mentioned earlier with Marshall. I'd even say Duke kind of lives and dies by the three. A lot of these teams do, and Kansas is probably the prime example of living and dying by the three. If they can shoot well, they can beat any team.
Yeah.
If they're on.
But
But it's
none of us
typical Bill
believe in
Self,
them.
and I don't
none of us
either.
believe in Kansas, so
I
we
think-
all like whoever comes.
We're going to end up
we
with the same brackets.
And the deal is, I
We
think
probably will.
This is gonna
But
suck.
we all Duke over Michigan State, whoever we all think they're gonna beat
Again,
Kansas.
by the way, gentlemen,
What? What's up?
you guys send me photographic evidence
Okay.
by 12 a.m. Thursday. No
Yeah, you
later.
better send it back though. You can't
Why?
just go sending it to Sano.
Just getting back.
No, but
just
we'll
to
make
finish.
a little triangle here. You guys still have to make your wager. Noel and I still have to work out
Yeah,
our
we haven't
wager.
bet any. What are we betting, Blaine?
I don't know. What should we bet?
I don't know.
Should we bet some Buffalo Wild Wings? Like some wings, I think we
We
should.
could
bet
do
some
wings. We could do wings.
So,
Anyway,
We could all. we could be
let's
like
get
a
back to the
30-win
tournament.
bet.
I'm gonna quit being long-winded.
Well, I don't know. There's
Listen,
anything
I
else
think
to discuss about
Kansas.
the tournament?
Well, the other deal is, you're looking at Kansas. I think they have a cakewalk. Honestly, Kansas.
Yeah.
Kansas has a cakewalk. I think the team that is going to have the most difficult, way there, I think is going to be the south of the Midwest. Honestly, I think Villanova kind of the team that I think is going to be the toughest to beat is going to be Purdue. Wichita State should give them a run for their money. Bama's going to be tough early on because I have them beating Virginia Tech. Villanova, I think has a pretty tough run.
I think Villanova is the easiest, and I think
You think
it's
so?
kind of general
You think
consensus
so?
that they have the easiest because
What, Purdue?
Alabama's
huh?
Yeah, I agree
got
with
a
that.
lottery pick, but after that, it's the winner of West Virginia, Wichita State. I mean, they're nice teams. They're Villanova.
They're streaky.
Yeah,
Purdue or
streaky
Texas
teams, yeah.
Tech. I mean, I don't think Villanova's got an easy way there.
Yep.
I think
You don't think Purdue? I don't know. You guys are Sam's heralding his Big Ten. Oh, Big Ten.
Purdue.
You don't think Purdue is?
I like
I don't
Purdue.
hear too much. What do you think about
I
Purdue?
like Purdue. I don't think
Like
they're going to
Purdue?
beat
You don't
Villanova.
think so?
No.
I don't think they will either. But
I got
think that's a
Villanova
tough
winning it
run.
all, so I don't
Oh,
have.
yeah.
That's the one, but that's the one game. If
Mhm.
Purdue or Texas Tech, that game can go either way.
Yep.
I think that's the one roadblock in Villanova's way. Otherwise, it's just a march straight towards the Final Four.
Yeah.
Whether they play Duke or Michigan State, that'll be a tough game.
Yep.
But I think Villanova's up for it.
Yep.
I mean, they just won the Big East tournament. They just had a really tough game against Providence.
Yep.
Providence is a good team.
Providence,
I think upset alert. They might be able to knock off your North Carolina Tar Heels there, Blaine. They're a good team. I watched that Big East
I don't know.
championship game. That was they played really well against Villanova.
North Carolina is a very different team this year, and
They're not as good as they were last year.
They weren't. And the deal is, they don't have Roy Williams, traditional bigs. The deal is if the big thing in North Carolina is, the big chink in their armor is obviously going to be Cam Johnson. If Cam Johnson is going to remain injured, he had a hamstring injury because he got fallen on by, was that against? I think it was against Syracuse. I don't remember. Or Miami. It was against Miami. He got fallen on. He's had back issues. He had hamstring issues. That's going to be their biggest thing. But I think Virginia has got the toughest. I think that when you're going to have to play Kansas State, you're going to have to play either Kentucky or Arizona.
You're going to have to play Creighton. I don't know about Kansas State.
I don't know. I think or Creighton, whatever.
Big
And then when they play either Tennessee, Miami, Nevada, or Cincinnati, one of those 4 teams, I think that's a tough bid. And then, when they get to the Final Four, I don't know who makes it to the Final Four in the West. I think this is probably the easiest conference, honestly. I think that this team has a lot of bust potential in Xavier and in Ohio State, in Michigan. North Carolina, I don't have a lot of faith in them this year. They're good when they're good. They're really bad when they're really bad. And so I think that if Virginia plays a combination of either Gonzaga, Xavier, Michigan, and UNC, I don't know. They've handled teams. I mean, they only allow I think they only allow between 55 and 58 points a game for opposing teams. Their defense is gonna be there, and but I think that both Virginia and Villanova are gonna have the toughest bids. It depends on what happens in the Midwest. That's gonna be interesting.
All right.
We all like Villanova.
We all like Villanova.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. We can.
It's first takes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other things? I don't think there's anything else to
really
discuss.
we've circled the same topic 3 times
Sorry.
throughout this bracket, which is fine. So
I get long-winded. It's just my
Hopefully
vast
there will be more to talk
basketball
about.
knowledge,
College
Sam.
basketball.
hopefully there will
Some
be more to
vast
talk
knowledge.
about the next
Too bad you
week.
can't
But
pick a
now,
good bracket, though. The Minnesota Twins.
all right,
Okay, let's
now
get to
we're
Twins.
moving on to Minnesota Twins having a very successful offseason, in my opinion. They didn't sign anyone big. They signed notable names, but they waited. They waited until the player almost got to a point where they got desperate. They're kind of like, okay, I'll sign right now. Notable acquisitions from the Twins are starting pitcher Lance Lynn from the.
Old, but
He had a very good spring training today. Logan Morrison.
A lot of strikeouts today.
Logan Morrison.
Yeah, but $6.5 million
He had
for a
38
reason.
home runs last year.
But that's
1-year deal.
What did he have for RBIs? I don't care about home runs. I could care less about home runs.
I'm not.
That's one RBI.
We have to look that one up, but
I
he did
don't.
have 38 home runs last year.
I think he's
That would have
old.
led the Twins in home runs.
I think Logan Morrison's old. His stint in both Miami and Florida has been subpar. Granted, like he just said, with 38 home runs.
Logan
I don't care about home runs.
Home
What did he
runs
average?
38, RBIs 85.
85. What was his average?
246.
246. See, that's not good. What's his RISP?
We'll have to keep
Runners in scoring position.
Yeah, that's
But,
his RISP. If it's not very high, I don't really care about home runs. You can hit as many home runs as you want to. I look at averages. I look at RISP. I look at RBIs. I don't care about home runs. You can hit as many as you want to.
They also picked up Bordeezy from Tampa Bay, who
I don't know
Tampa Bay
who it
really
is.
want to trade him, but then they're just like, screw it, we'll just
Yeah.
let him go.
Exactly.
Michael Pineda.
What was that? What about Pineda?
We signed him.
Re-sign Michael Pineda?
Yeah,
Really?
2-year
All right,
deal.
Really?
But
We
he's
signed
coming
Michael
off of
Pineda.
surgery. He's coming off
All right,
surgery,
yeah.
so
He's
he
been.
probably can't play this year. Although I did hear a report he's ahead of schedule. He might be able to come back end of the summer.
Michael Pineda, he's been pretty. I think he's been pretty average in New York. He's a big Dominican. He's 6'8". I mean, I think his velocity is going to continue to go down. I mean, he's New York has a lot of talent. With their pitching, but I think Michael Pineda. This is a decent signing. It's a.
If
This
he
Twins
pans out,
need,
it'll be a good sign.
the Twins need pitching, and he's a
Exactly.
veteran. He's a veteran presence. He's big. He's got some pretty decent velocity. He's with that injury, I don't know what's gonna happen there.
Well, I think with the Twins is the fact that they're making any kind of effort. They're signing a couple pitchers. They strengthened the bullpen. They signed a couple starters.
Yep.
They signed Logan Morrison.
Mhm.
There's finally spending some kind of
Exactly.
money. And the Twins, we've been,
Yep.
I mean, lots of Twins fans, myself, I mean, I know you guys, we beg for them to spend some kind of money just once. Just spend it when you when you have a team.
Spend money.
Spend money.
Do you want another Joe Mauer on your team?
I can't wait
why we
to
spend money on
freaking Joe Mauer.
But we're finally spending some because we've had teams that are close and then they're like,
right, well,
you know what? I don't want to pay.
Define spending money. Do you mean just spending money in general, or do you want to go all out for one player?
I kind of agree with what
Just spend money all. You don't have to sign.
They spend
you don't have to sign Jake Arrieta.
They spend $60 million. $75 million.
They're spending more money right now than they have in years.
I agree because I think this is typical of Minnesota teams in general, but this is typical of Minnesota.
It's the Twins.
The Twins just they don't do anything. They sit on these homers. I.e. Joe Mauer. I think that this
Joe
is
Mauer
great.
had one good year and they signed him to like a 15-year deal.
I think this is great. I think that this is the new guard for Minnesota. They fired everybody else. I really think that Minnesota making these moves is a step forward. I mean, granted, these guys are veteran. These guys are veteran guys that have been there. Morrison probably hasn't, but Pineda's been there. I don't know who this other guy from Tampa Bay is, but I think that they're surrounding some veterans, with their young guys.
And Barrios. I think one thing the Twins they didn't sign Darvish. I don't think they really tried to. Yeah. I don't think they did. I would have liked to have signed Darvish because we need an ace. We don't have an ace. Santana's a good pitcher. He's a good starting pitcher. He's not an ace.
He's gonna be out for
But I heard him saying it on Minnesota Sports Radio the other day, and I can kind of agree with this. Is they're trying to sign other starting pitchers, and then they're hoping Barrios turns into that ace. That seems like what they're trying to do.
I think that's the guy they're going to throw out starting opening day.
Yeah, Barrios is he's definitely got the most upside. Yep. He's up there. Him and Santana are the best two pitchers we have. Yeah. But Barrios has a lot of upside. I hope he can turn into that ace that we need. Who's the first starting pitcher?
I agree.
Other notable signs Twins have signed Addison Reed, right-hand pitcher.
Addison Reed, okay.
Addison Reed.
He's a more veteran presence. He's from Cubs.
All right. Just looking around, there's some ones we already know. Zach Duke.
Oh, Zach Duke.
Left-hand pitcher. Yep, Fernando Rodney.
Oh, Fernando Rodney. I love Fernando Rodney.
We did sign Michael Pineda. Yep, we all knew that.
Okay.
Anibal Sanchez, but he just got released. So
they released
saw that, yeah.
Literally,
they won space.
So I think finally the Twins, instead of having this mediocre bullpen, we're going to actually have some competition. Finally. This is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, I think that's. I hope. I don't know. I don't think they'll ever beat the Yankees. Sorry.
Well,
they'll never beat the Yankees. Especially now. The Yankees are just ridiculous.
Talk about conspiracy theories. Ready for a conspiracy theory?
What?
Derek Jeter became manager of the Miami Marlins just so he could trade Giancarlo Stanton to the Yankees.
Wait, he didn't become manager. Isn't he like a part owner?
He's a part owner.
He's a part owner.
Not a manager.
To make the Yankees really, really good. And then,
he did.
Derek Jeter opting out of his ownership.
And the next thing you know, you'll find him working for the Yankees.
I'm surprised he isn't working for the Yankees.
Conspiracy theories.
That's actually good because the Yankees are going to be ridiculous.
Well, I mean, they didn't get anything back for him. They didn't get back anything.
Yankees, well, probably Miami just, obviously couldn't afford him, so maybe they were just trying to, who else is going to buy out his contract? Really, he's worth $250 million?
Almost 300.
Yeah, Yankees are the only team, other than the Red Sox, and who else has
Dodgers,
the money?
Angels.
Yeah, Angels have the money? Really?
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah.
Any New York, LA, they all have the money.
Mm-hmm. And Boston, yeah. That's the only teams that are going to
quickly on another Twins-related note. For the past year and a half, about half a year, they've been looking into this Miguel Sano alleged case where he took a photographer and tried to put her into a restroom. That's, like I said, we don't have any proof yet. We just have a tweet someone sent out. Miguel Sano has been quiet about it. His agent, not much. So I'm questioning right now what's going to happen. MLB has been silent on this investigation.
I don't know.
We don't know. It could be out of nowhere. A suspension could just boom.
Yep.
I
agree.
I'm thinking 15 to 30 days. How does this affect the Twins?
I think that I don't really know too much about the Twins. I don't know too much about baseball. I love the game, but I don't know too much about it. I think that based on what the MLB has done in the past, I just look at Aroldis Chapman.
That's what
he was looking at.
His case is, I feel like MLB hasn't had a lot of abuse cases yet.
No.
There has been some domestic violence, like I said with Chapman. I think Miguel Cabrera had an issue with that a long time ago, but this hasn't really hit the MLB like it has basketball and football. I think what's going to happen, but just getting back to the Aroldis Chapman case, he didn't sign in LA because of that. LA didn't want him because of that, and he lost out on a lot of money. The Cubs scooped him up and he went back to New York. I think that Sano is going to get hit hard if these allegations come true. I think it's up to 60. I think it's up to 60 games. Honestly, I think 60 games, 50. I'd say 30 at the minimum, but I think up to 60 or 70 games because just the way that society and athletic teams. You look at Adrian Payne getting cut for the Michigan State allegations. I mean, I don't
think about Adrian Payne though. He's garbage.
But
Miguel Sano is a star.
But that's also, this is what I like to hear. I think that he's going to get hit. He's going to get hard. I agree with Sam. I think it's going to come out of nowhere because it has been really quiet. I haven't heard. This hasn't been like a Sports Illustrated
I heard
cover
a very
case,
small report that they're still investigating. What is that? That proves literally nothing.
It does prove nothing. And if there's no evidence, you're looking at these cases, like with the Patrick Kane case. For the Blackhawks, there were allegations of it. They cleared it, and the NHL didn't make a huge deal out of it. No. I hope that's what happens with this case, because somebody's accused him. Now I'm all for innocent until proven guilty. I don't know if Sano is going to be, and that's how I feel sexual assault has been. Should be dealt with. I'm not downplaying sexual assault. Don't get me wrong. No, but I think that if this is just a faulty allegation, nothing's going to happen to him. If something really does happen, he's going to get hit hard, and it's going to come out of nowhere, I think. Does this affect the Twins? You look at, didn't they play without him against the Yankees?
They did. Escobar filled in really well.
Well, and Escobar is he's a great option, but I think he's a great DH first baseman. I think if the Twins don't have him, they're losing a huge star. I mean, he's an all-star.
Well,
I think he's.
Let's also dig into the fact that why did Miguel Sano get hurt? Do you remember why?
I don't remember what he's
out of shape.
Yeah, probably.
Well, part of it too is after he got hurt, he's been gaining weight ever since.
Oh my god,
he has problems with that. He's kind of a fatty. He's fat. He's huge, but he's fat. I think he could gain weight.
It sounds like he's getting in his shape here for spring training, though. But I disagree with this. I don't think there's any way they can suspend him like a crazy amount, 30, 60, 70 games for this. It's unsubstantiated so far. I don't think they can do it because of that. Miguel Sano, we don't know what happened. Obviously, it only happens between them. But I heard one thing they were talking about was like culture difference. If that had maybe something to do with it, they did bring in that. I did read on The Athletic the other day that Miguel Sano has been meeting back and forth with the MLB, so there is a little more out there than nothing. So they have been. He's been meeting with the MLB, talking to the commissioner and whatever. So I don't know where this is all at. To me, I think where you haven't heard anything yet, I don't think you're going to go out there. He's going to play on opening day, and then all of a sudden they're going to go, oh, boom, here's 70 game suspension. I don't see that. I think if they do something, it might be like a 10-game suspension maybe. Mm-hmm. If they, just to say, you put yourself in a bad situation.
Sure.
If you do this again, it's a warning kind of a thing. But I don't think, unless they can substantiate the claim, because she even said there was no one around. There's no way the Twins could have known about it. There's no way any of the other players could have known about it. So unless there's some way you can substantiate these claims, I don't know if the MLB can do anything about it.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And like you've been saying, the other deal is he hasn't been charged with anything. And I think that's the biggest thing with these athletic cases. Ray Rice wasn't charged with anything. And the NFL just suspended him. You look at
Ray Rice was a whole different thing too. They had proof that video was bad.
But the other deal is that she didn't file anything against him. They got married. I mean, would you really marry somebody who beat you? Like, he didn't beat her up, granted. Like, he hit her and she knocked her out. But But let's be real here. I mean,
Ray Rice
nothing,
was pretty bad.
But nothing was charged against him. The NFL
nothing was charged against him, but that doesn't mean the NFL has always maintained these leagues.
What about
NFL, MLB, NBA?
Well, what about from the NFL? Who's the one guy from the Cowboys?
Ezekiel Elliott.
Nope, not Ezekiel Elliott. The other guy.
Des Bryant.
Nope, Des Bryant. Who's the other guy? Who am I thinking about?
Defensive end.
Yeah.
He wanted to fight MMA.
What's his name again?
Who?
What was the guy from
the
Cowboys
who wanted to fight MMA?
Yeah, who had similar allegations, and he was a repeat
Hardy.
offender. Yeah, Greg Hardy. He's another jackwagon who, I think that, and the other deal is you also have to factor in who he's playing for. Greg Hardy. This all happened while he was in a Cowboys uniform. It's conspiracy theory or not? Ray Rice playing for the Ravens. I think it has to do with who you're playing for. It has to do with what league you're in. I don't think Sano.
All these leagues maintain
Sano
that whether they press charges or not, they say we have the right to suspend you. That's the whole. That was the whole thing with the Ezekiel Elliott case, because not only was Ezekiel Elliott not charged with anything, they investigated and found him innocent. Mm-hmm. And then he was still suspended on top of that. Now, I think that's more so because Jerry Jones and Roger Goodell are butting heads all the time.
Exactly, yeah.
But that's why I don't think with the MLB, there's no like angst against the Twins organization or Miguel Sano like there is between Jerry and Roger. So I don't think they can hit him that same way if there's an investigation and nothing comes up.
It's going to be up in the air. Sam, do you know what the timetable for it is? And do you know what the timetable, if there's any sort of anything?
Conclusion? I have
nothing? It's been quiet?
Just the initial report and a little...
Nolan been pretty quiet?
All I've heard is that he's meeting with the MLB. No decisions yet.
Well, I hope that the feds come up with something. I hope the MLB is just with his sentencing, if there's anything. Hopefully he's back in a Twins uniform.
All right.
Honestly.
So, any final thoughts for today?
No final thoughts. I've said enough.
No final thoughts?
I don't think I got anything.
I think North Carolina, let me throw this out there. I think North Carolina is going to go back-to-back and is going to go to their third championship.
He ain't even picking them. He ain't even picking them to get there.
How do I cut off this microphone?
Oh, no!
Hey, all right. That's enough of him. Well, thank you for tuning in today. Please go on to our Reddit page on r-MinneSports for anything. We will be posting these on there. Please join our conversations. Subscribe to our YouTube channel on MinneSports. Also, please make sure to look out for our tweets on MinneSports Vibes. Thank you for listening.